Good evening. Welcome to the digital video news bulletin in English language from datelinegujaratnews.com. So what's buzzing in the world today? The world woke up to the news and the news developments where reportedly China has threatened of consequences if US House Speaker met Taiwanese president. Threats from China. Well, from Russia and Ukraine war zone, if you see, today is the 400th day. It has been 400 days that the Russia and Ukraine are fighting. They are on a war. And amidst that, there are lots of news reports which are marking the kind of events what has happened across the 400 days event of war. Russian forces are making a headway in Bakhmut. That's the claims which are coming in. And Ukraine has said that they have managed to shoot down Russian drones over Kyiv. Amidst this all, Associated report which has claimed that Zelensky has invited Chinese President Xi to Ukraine. So I think the way Xi was in Russia, he was talking about the peace plan with Ukraine. I think that's likely to now scale a little ahead. The way the way Russian regiments have lost the large proportion of tanks in the war zone, wherein Moscow says that Ukraine using long-range artilleries, and it's a kind of quite a damage to Russia. Amidst which, there is a damage to the Russian forces also. So amidst which, Putin has removed the age limit for the conscripts. Conscripts are the new recruits basically joining the army. So he's removed those age limit. Anyone can join now, the forces in Russia. And US is little skeptical about the claims of Russia and Putin, where they say that they have installed a nuke station in Belarus and they will trigger it at any time. They say, this is like some kind of a bluff master or a bluff game which is going on. And US cruising ahead in Asia. What's happening in Asia? 6.1 magnitude Richter scale earthquake has hit Japan. Japanese PM's wife is likely to visit White House. She'll be meeting Jill Biden in April. That's the report mainly in the Japanese media. And Japan holds evacuation drill amidst Taiwan invasion fear. Equally, Japan, US and Philippines, they have engaged into a kind of security talks, creating a kind of anti-China rim with the tensions of invasion and tensions over Taiwan. While in Korean Peninsula, what is happening? North Korea has unveiled some small nukes that may fit variety of missiles, and US claims of building defense capacities to counter the nuke threats from North Korea. South Korea and Vietnam, they've agreed to strengthen their defense cooperation as a part of what all is happening in this zone. And South Korean President Yoon has said that he will not give a single Korean won to North Korea if they continue with their nuclear pursuit. Amidst all this, SK Hynix, which is the number 2 chip maker of the world from South Korea, he says that if you can please continue further for 2 years with the exemption from US chip curbs against China, then thoda dhanda badega. That's what he has to say. China has filed number of patents, maximum number of patents in 2022. And the real estate market of Hong Kong seems to be on fire. Private home prices, it has gone up. So in that situation, it seems to be a boom time in the private home real estate space of Hong Kong. Going ahead, Thailand. Thailand is famous for what? Sex tourism. The tourism in Thailand has flourished in last 3 months. In a quarter, almost 62 lakh tourists, that is 6.15 million tourists arrivals have been recorded. It's a record kind of arrivals which has been registered in Thailand in just January to March. So it's, I think, a boom time in Thailand. And in which ways, ethnic Karen rebels have seized a large Myanmar military camp, which was a kind of a key supplying logistics end-to-end point for the Myanmar Junta troops in Kain state. And in another development, Aung Suu Kyi's National League of Democracy Party has been dissolved by Myanmar Junta. NLD had, they didn't re-register with the Junta's election commission after the kind of stricter requirements which were required to continue as a political party. So they have been kind of dismantled. It has been dissolved. In an interesting development, Russia and India, we said that whenever there will be news from India on the world map, we'll be talking about that. So Russia and India reportedly are in talks to expand Northern Sea shipping route. Alexei Chonkov, Russia's Minister for Development of Far East and Arctic, is visiting Delhi and is likely to discuss in this direction for the transportation of goods through the route in Russia and Indian ports. That is the Interfax report. Interfax is an agency, newswire agency. And if you recall, we said yesterday that the oil companies in Russia, they have with the kind of nuke-powered vessels which will remove the ice sheets and take the vessels inside. So this is likely to happen. They have to sell the oil to continue their war and manage their war chest and war fund. On the other hand, the EU leader has alleged that Russia is increasingly trying to destabilize the state of Moldova. Pakistan has been removed from the EU's high-risk third countries list, but Pakistan is absolutely right now in a perfectly Shakespearean situation of to be or not to be, because Pakistan will skip or is likely to skip the US Democracy Summit. Pakistan participating in Democracy Summit in itself is a big news, but they are likely to skip. And this comes because US has invited Taiwan but not China and Turkey. So सब गंदा है पर धंधा है ये भाई. Any which ways, going ahead, Middle East. What's happening in Middle East? Greek cops have arrested 2 persons of Iranian origin. They coordinated for a terrorist plot, and this is coming with the help of Mossad. Mossad helped the Greek police, the Greek cops, to arrest these 2 Iranians before they give some, result to some terrorist act of terrorism or terrorist activity on the soil of Greece. Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian, he visited Russia last night, and on arrival he was, gate crashed by the reporters, and when they asked him about the Iran-Russia ties, he said the business has grown 3.5 times in past one and a half year. That is since Russia is on war. So there is no question of this. It's just to increase this, deepen this ties, and nobody should have an objection against it. After all, it's about business. War is also a business. US has announced sanctions against Assad's cousin, Assad, the leader of Syria, and it's about a drug trade. The US Treasury officials, they say that Assad government has been using the drug trafficking as a source of illicit revenue. While in interesting development in Middle East, the ties between Middle East and Asia, Turkey and Uzbekistan, they are to discuss the defense cooperation. The officials from Ankara and Tashkent, Ankara is the capital of Turkey and Tashkent is the capital of Uzbekistan, they met to discuss this defense cooperation. In a good news, Qatari investments to foster UNDP's investment goals, and Saudi Arabia's cabinet approved on Wednesday a decision to join the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Boss, Saudi Arabia is going bonkers with China. The way China brokered the entire Saudi-Iran re-diplomacy, repatching deal. So they are putting a refinery in China, now joining the Shanghai Cooperation. So where are you? That's what it is. And amidst this, what has happened is that Saudi Arabia is ranked first globally in renewable energy production. That's the kind of report which is surfacing. And while we talk of the news pack from Israel, Biden Netanyahu exchanged frosty words over a judiciary overhaul. Biden is absolutely disappointed with Netanyahu's approach on judiciary standoff. Biden has strongly expressed his displeasure on the recent civil society developments in Israel, terming Netanyahu will not soon be invited to White House. This is a clear-cut message which is reflected in Western media and American media especially. And he has criticized that the leader should listen to his citizens. Joe Biden telling Netanyahu that the leader should listen to his citizens. And even the opposition in Israel has termed this a kind of this Biden's criticism as a wake-up call moment for Netanyahu government. But amidst all this criticism and whatever you call it, bingo, what Israel does, Israel launches a new OFEK 13 spy satellites, the OFEK 13 spy satellites. जो करना है कर लो भैया, हम नहीं सुधरेंगे. That is what the message is, loud and clear. Going ahead, cruising ahead, when we see the African landscape, we do a bird's eye view on the African newscape. What we see is that people, report has appeared by, research paper has been appeared by University of York's new research on ancient DNA, which says that people from Indian Ocean coast of Eastern Africa have Asian ancestry. A lot of Asians have been connected with the East African trade route. A lot of Gujaratis especially have been connected with these East African trade routes. So this is possible. That's what it is. Secondly, the South Africa faces local headwinds of the food prices and inflation. But amidst that, the opposition leader of South Africa is not happy with Putin. John Steenhuisen has called up this president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, saying that please arrest Putin if he comes to Africa. He should not set the foot in the country. घर अपना संभलता नहीं है and बाहर की बात कर रहे हैं. So when you have such a leader of opposition, I think it's better people continue to rule the way they are. When UN raises, UN General Secretary, UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres has raised an alarm. He has said that the Sahel region, which comprises of Senegal, Mauritania, then Mali, Nigeria, Burkina Faso and Chad, that is emerging as a new hub of terrorism activities. He said, the remark which I am reading, and that's what he has exactly said, and the verbiage which I am putting is, no age, no culture, no religion, no nationality and no region is immune. But the situation of Africa is especially concerning. Despair, poverty, hunger, lack of basic services, unemployment and unconstitutional changes in government continue to lay fertile ground for the creeping expansion of terrorist groups to infect new parts of the continent. I am deeply concerned by the gains terrorist groups are making in Sahel and elsewhere. Alarming statement. I think action is needed, and that's what he has said. So going ahead from South Africa, while we go to Europe, when we see the European media back, it's mixed with lots of goodies and lots of bad news also. But Belfast High Court has awarded 1.3 million compensation to a man who at the age of 18 was waterboarded by the British military personnel into falsely confessing he had murdered a soldier. Human rights, that's what you advocate, West. And in Germany, foreign workers are facing visa challenges, especially in the tourism sector, despite the fact that many hotels and restaurants and pubs in Germany are short of the staff. But still, there is a problem, and so you are not getting the foreign workers. Poland bets on the new economic community with Romania and Ukraine, while Politico has reported that Britain is expected to join Indo-Pacific Trade Pact. Now, when Politico reports, you take it seriously because they have that kind of a network within the EU continent and the EU space and the EU power corridors. In a very shocking development, UK's MI5 intelligence service has raised the terrorism threat level in Northern Ireland on severe, and it's aimed keeping in view the increase in activity by dissident Irish Republican Army splinter group militants. So the people who were split from there, from the Irish Republican Army, they could kind of engage into some act of terror, and that could be severe. That is what the MI5 intelligence unit has alarm to the citizens and to and they've come with the same statement in the public domain. Italy gets yellow card over funding stadiums with EU cash, as the third payout of 19 billion euros in EU grants and loan won't happen by the end of this month as planned. So I think Italy has been disqualified, if you call it in a football language, for falsely playing the game. That's what it means. But the headline is interesting. Italy gets yellow card over funding stadiums with EU cash. Creative headline. Going ahead in US and Caribbean blues and the Latin American push, what's happening in US? If we start with Canada, Canada will lend Ukraine $1.8 billion through IMF, and they will equally support Ukrainian citizens to provide more immigration support. And this is happening at such a time when Canadians are struggling to stretch their own budget of grocery prices, are making impact on the local food budget. The one-time grocery rebate for the low-income Canadians is coming at a time where many residents in the region of Waterloo are struggling to keep up with their food bills. So you don't handle your home, but you help others. Good boss. And Vancouver's single-use cup coffee to be dropped effective 1st May. So coffee shops and other food beverages vendors will no longer charge a 25-cent fee for a single-use cup. I mean, you ask for a cup of tea in India, and if they charge you some paisa or some rupee, imagine what they will make. So this is what it is. They were charging 25 cents. That's almost Indian equivalent of 12 to 13 rupees. Going ahead, US media is loaded with the news of Trump trials and Stormy Daniels' developments with Donald Trump, but Lyft, LYFT, what you call, is a company, a US car ride company, LYFT. Of that, the founders, John Zimmer and Logan Green, they've stepped down as president and CEO. They'll be a part of executive board now. That's what the news is. And US adds trade restrictions to 5 Chinese firms over alleged role in Uyghur repressions. So these are largely the electronic surveillance companies. And there has been a shocking accident in Ohio River. A marine fuel transportation accident turmoil report surfaces while 10 barges, including one carrying methanol, which break free from a tugboat in the Ohio River, and 3 barges were pinned against the surfaces, including the dam facility. So they like kind of dashed with that pillar structure of that bridge or whatever you call it. That's what happened. Yesterday we said that Independent had reported that Ivana Trump, the first wife of ex-US President Donald Trump, was investigated by FBI. Today, FBI has released the files of Ivana Trump investigations. This is how media works. They said today FBI had to confess and release the files. Going ahead, we heard about the disaster in Mexico on the border and the detention center of the fire incident which killed almost, not exact figures, somebody says 38, somebody says 39, somebody says 40, but let us understand that migrants were killed in that accident. But a shocking video footage is it's making rounds, and it displays that guards did not make any efforts to save the migrants. While the Mexican president, the statement from the Mexican president is that fearing a kind of possible deportation, the migrants started burning the mattresses to protest against the deportation process, and so they died. A very sad incident. I mean, whatever legal outcome or whatever it is, but at least this should not happen. God should have gone and saved the people. Going ahead, in Caribbean archipelago, Canada imposes additional sanctions on the 2 Haitian elites. So UN had already said that Haiti is becoming a state ruled by gangs, and sanctions on 2 Haitian elites, and a boat capsized off the Caribbean island of St. Kitts. 1 person has died, 16 are missing. Majority of those who were rescued were citizens from the African countries, mainly from the Cameroon. Going ahead on the Playful Pacifics. So in a way, what's surfing in the Playful Pacific Islands? Alert for measles and contagious illness mainly across Sydney and Sunshine Coast. That's what has been alert given by the administration, by the local administration. And food delivery drivers are demanding a better pay and good working conditions. Like we have those guys moving on bikes, Zomatos and Swiggies and Ubers of the world in India. Same way in Australia, these guys are demanding a better pay and good working conditions. Australia, it's happening in Australia. Any which ways, let's go ahead. I mean, ANZ bank report said that Australian Consumer Price Index will fall short of market expectations, with headline inflation falling from 7.4 year-on-year basis in January to 6.8 in February. This will further support the hike at next month's RBA meeting. So there are all possibilities. What we said yesterday, what we said based on the report which had appeared in the Australian media, that Reserve Bank of Australia is likely to hike the interest rate. So that's being advocated now by the ANZ bank report. Going ahead, lithium developer Liontown Resources, which is an Australian company, which was, US major Albemarle Corporation was trying to acquire it, to take over, but the proposals were there. Somehow it did not work, and now Albemarle moves ahead. They say, "Okay, bhai, if you don't want to do business, you want to work, continue your way." In the recent visit to Australia, former US President Barack Obama warned of the truth-wrapping dangers of artificial intelligence and polarized media, and took a swipe at the News Corp chairman Rupert Murdoch, the way trials are happening with the Fox News in US. And in a wide-ranging discussions before an audience at Sydney, he also canvassed China, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and economic justice. So he talked largely about the problems which are being faced by the world today. New Zealand does not have too much of news today, but of course the country will lack more of pure petrol versions of Toyota models. That's mainly in the news from New Zealand. And going ahead in the frozen polars, we reported, based on the reports which had appeared in the world media, we talked about that shooting of Mission Impossible, filming of that was denied by the local authorities in Arctic region. Good news, Mission Impossible 8 is filming in Arctic now. And lots of film critics reporting about it have said this is a wonderful sight. So we are expecting some kind of videos now to come out of Tom Cruise, the way it came out of that motorcycle stunt. So let's see and let's wait and watch. But finally, Mission Impossible 8 is now Mission Possible. Going ahead, the West Arctic Force 23 drills unsettled the Russian military. The drills were for 1 month, from February 16 to March 17, and the drills are over now. That has been reported with concern in the Russian media also. While the problems of Russia in Arctic get stronger, because now even US is trying to get galloping into that space, China is assuming a larger role to engage in Arctic. So now imagine China, Russia and US. As we said, the war is going to be for the resources in Arctic now. Africa is sucked out and now it's going to be over. Imagine Saudi Aramco refinery getting into China. So Saudi Aramco, so the Arab money, the petrodollar money, Russia, China and America on this side. It's going to be an interesting equation geopolitically. Any which ways, federal budget fails people and planet, opens Arctic for drilling. On the flip side of the coin, the US Coast Guard shares Arctic pollution control and response plan. So on one side you give a budget for spoiling a planet, on other side you have a body which says that here is a plan how to control the pollution. So you make the money, you swindle that money of the government within your things and your periphery only. After all, it's a debt money. And in one interesting piece of news from Arctic, Mayor of Arctic Town decides to serve on the front line in Ukraine. So with that, we end the news today's bulletin. Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Thursday. We will not be there reporting on Thursday. Tomorrow there is a festival season of, a festival day of Ram Navami. We are observing a holiday, and day after tomorrow it is 31st March, which is the closing of the financial year. So we will be busy with that. So tomorrow is Thursday, day after tomorrow is Friday, where we won't be reporting anything on the video or on our website. Saturdays and Sundays, otherwise we don't work. So we will meet back on Monday, that is 3rd April. Till then, wishing happy Ram Navami and have a good day tomorrow, and good night and thank you.